What's the real issue underlying why we're so uncomfortable about the subject of money in church? Jesus said, you cannot serve God and money at the same time. You're going to love one, hate the other. A lot of people like to quote and say, the Bible says that money is the root of all evil. It's actually not true. The reason why we get so irritated about the subject of money is because money is a heart issue. Hey, have you ever found yourself wondering about the connection between money and church, money and Christianity? It's such a major topic. So many people immediately want to run to, hey, the church, all they want is your money. I'd go to church, but all they want is your money. It's interesting. Nobody ever says that about any other environment other than the church. It's like nobody goes to a professional sports game and says, hey, tried to park my car. All they want's my money. I walked in here, I wanted a nacho, and they charged me $25. I can't believe they're price gouging me for food. And then I want to sit there and watch athletes play a game, and I'm paying hundreds of dollars for these tickets. Nobody complains about that. They celebrate it. When you go on vacation, nobody celebrates that. Nobody complains about the price of a vacation. When you go to almost any other environment, a doctor's office, school, wherever that you go to, we all just assume that money is a part of that, except when we go to church. Immediately, when we begin to touch on the subject of money and the church, people react. Why do they react? For several different reasons. Let's cover a couple just pretty obvious ones first. Number one is some churches have done a terrible job of stewarding money. Number two, there have been a lot of scandals connected to a very few, very rare televangelists or people that are very prominent that have used the gospel as a means to personally become rich, and it's manipulative. But those are very rare cases. What's the real issue underlying why we're so uncomfortable about the subject of money in church? One of the most important decisions that you can make is planting your life in the local church, God's choice and spiritual environment for you to flourish. In my book, In His House, I talk about the unseen realities and truths about how powerful a life planted where God designed it to thrive is. You can tap the link in the description or scan the QR code and get your copy of In His House today. It goes down to what Jesus had to say. Jesus said that you cannot serve God and money at the same time. You're going to love one, hate the other. He said you cannot serve God and you cannot serve mammon. The word mammon there is more than just about money. It's talking about the spirit behind money, or the attitude of greed and envy connected to money. A lot of people like to quote and say, the Bible says that money is the root of all evil. It's actually not true. Actually, it says that the love of money is the root of all evil. And in the same context of that in Timothy, Paul says, let those who are rich be ready to do good works with their money. So Paul is not afraid to challenge people who have a lot to do a lot. Now, you might think to yourself, well, I don't have a lot. But if you live in America and you are on welfare, you are in the top 5% of wealth globally. So there is no Christian in the American church that is not in the category of the rich or the wealthy, because we have far more than what anybody else has globally. And Paul challenges us, be ready to do good works with your money and actually store up for yourself riches in heaven by what you do with your money on this side of eternity. The reason why we get so irritated about the subject of money is because money is a heart issue. That's what Jesus was getting to. You can't serve God and mammon because our heart is sticky. We are greedy. We like comfort. We put ourselves first. So much of even the conversations in the church about money has to do with tithe. Is tithe Old Testament? Is it New Testament? That's not the argument. The argument should be 10% should not be challenging to us. To think of giving 10% into things that are reaching people for eternity in a world where if you lined up the lost people on this planet chest to back on the equator, you'd go around the world 43 times, and yet we're complaining about should we give 10% of our income? Take the subject of tithe off the conversational platform. We should just be willing to do whatever it takes to reach those people. But the fact is that money is a heart issue, and our heart very often falls in love with money. And just like in the Lord of the Ring, where Gollum gets the precious and holds on to it and it's mine, that's what our heart oftentimes will do when it comes to finances. Most of the time, churches, and this is my experience because I lead a church and I've led a group of churches, I will tell you that rarely do you find churches that have more than enough. It's most often they don't have enough to do what God has called them to do. They're always trying to figure out how can we cut budgets. Their staff are typically underpaid. Their buildings have deferred maintenance. Missionaries struggle around the world who are on the front lines, and yet we have so much. I think the answer to the money conversation in the church is not, hey, the church isn't doing well with what they have. It's we're holding back more than we should. I think generosity needs to increase in the days in which we live in, because ultimately we're going to give an account to God for the resources that He's put into our trust. And I don't think He's going to listen very closely to our arguments about why our 1% or our 2% giving was enough and God shouldn't ask for any more when He bankrupted heaven to redeem us with the blood of His own Son on the cross. Hey, do you have questions about money, the church, what the Bible has to say, or maybe your own struggle? Drop down into the comments, put the word money, let us know where you're from.